The Elder Scrolls Online, a massive multiplayer online RPG that was released almost 5 years ago on the 4th of April 2014. But what about The Elder Scrolls Online in 2019? Is the game worth getting into too? What has changed since the game initial release, and has the game improved ever since? The Elder Scrolls Online takes place 1,000 years before the events of The Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Basically, you're a Festi. Your soul has been stolen by Molag Bal, Daedric Prince of domination and enslavement. Molag Bal also uses his dark anchors to weaken the barriers between the two worlds and merge Nirn and Oblivion into one single planemelt. Among this chaos, there are also 3 factions which have risen up. Firstly, you have the Daggerfall Covenant, led by High King Emmerich. This faction consists out of the Bretons, the Orcs and the Redguards. Then you have the Aldmeri Dominion under Queen Eren, which consists of the High Elves, the Khajiit and the Wood Elves known as Bosmer. And you have the third faction, the Ebonheart Pact, led by Skald King Jorun. This faction consists of the Dark Elves, the Argonians and the Nords. Now, ever since 1 Tamriel you can pretty much play any race, any faction. And you have the 10th Imperial race that isn't alliance bound. And ever since 1 Tamriel you can play with other factions as well. The only thing you are limited in is in Cyrodiil PvP. This was actually a great improvement to the game, as it was one of the main complaints from the community towards the developers. So that brings us to the next stage. How did the Elder Scrolls Online improve? Back when the game first released in 2014, there were a lot of negative reviews. The game was still very buggy and it didn't really feel like an Elder Scrolls game. There wasn't the option to steal items, you weren't able to kill NPCs. And the developers did listen to this feedback. With the addition of the Dark Brotherhood, which added the option for you to kill NPCs, and the addition of the Thieves Guild, you are able to steal items. The Dark Brotherhood and the Thieves Guild also added their own unique skill line to the game once you have joined these guilds. For example, you can unlock skills that will increase the money you gain by selling items. There are also passes that will lower your detection radius, thus helping you sneak around and get away with murders more easily, and many other more passes have been added to the game. Apart from this, you also get access to a new storyline, depending if you bought the Thieves Guild DLC, the Dark Brotherhood DLC, and you get access to a new zone. You get the Hughes Bane zone and the Gold Coast, again depending on which DLC you bought. The Gold Coast you might already know from the Satagonian in Cracklorn that tries to honor his necklace for some gold.
Don't you have any heart at all?
You want to cry me a river? Go ahead. Maybe you can float out of Craglorn.
We also gotta keep in mind that back in 2014 when the game dropped, it was a subscription based MMO. So apart from buying the game for like $60, people also had to pay a subscription fee to play the game. Now, if you're paying a subscription fee, you don't expect a game with bugs and glitches, because you're paying a good amount of money for the game itself, and then you pay monthly to be able to still play the game. So the subscription is not mandatory anymore ever since March 17, 2015. The subscription is still in the game, and it gives you several perks, none of which are pay to win by any standard. It's mostly cosmetics. First of all, you'll get access to all the DLC of the game if you are a subscriber until you drop the subscription. You will also get 650 crowns for every month that you are subscribed. On top of that, you'll get a bonus of 10% gold, XP gain, 10% increased inspiration gain, this from when you deconstruct items, and an increased 10% of trade researching to help you research your trades faster. And the most important of them all, the ESO crackback. One crackback to rule them all. No, but for real, once you are subscribed to the Elder Scrolls Online and you are used to having the ESO's craftback, that's why I call it a crackback, you just can't do without it anymore. What this bag does is it will store all your materials into this bag. So pretty much it stores all the materials in a separate bag and has infinite space, so it can store all the materials in the game, no matter how many you have. Now, once you play the game, you'll find out that there are a lot of materials, you know. You have like dozens of materials and ingredients for food alone. Then you have like trades, then you have woodworking, blacksmithing, alchemy. There is so much, and it's like a really pain in the ass sometimes to manage it. So that's what makes the ESO crackback the ESO crackback. To give you a good grasp of how much content has been added to this game ever since its first release, I will name all the DLCs and expansions. First of all, we got 2 expansions. We got Vardenfell, aka Morrowind, and we got Somerset L. So Vardenfell, aka Morrowind, gave us the battleground 4 versus 4 versus 4 with several modes, including Capture the Flag, aka Capture the Relic, Deathmatch, Domination, and Crazy King. All great and fun PvP modes. It also introduced us to the Warden class, which is basically a hippie with power and a brother bear pet. Now, since the release of Somerset, Morrowind, aka Vardenfell, actually changed to a DLC, and you will also get access to this if you subscribe to the game. They most likely do this to give you more incentives to become an ESO Plus subscriber. I guess they will do this with every expansion going forward from now on. I'm not sure about this, so every time a new expansion drops, the previous expansion will actually become a DLC, which is actually very nice for newcomers to the game, as it will be much easier for them to get access to all the DLC and expansions. The other expansion that was added to the game was Somerset. Now, Somerset is stunningly beautiful. It's really nice, it has a great storyline, and it also introduces a new skill line, the Psychic skill line, which is actually a terrible grind. Basically, in order to level your Psychic skill line, after you have done a part of the story, you can join a guild, and you have to close time fragments in order to level your Psychic skill line. But I'm not going too much into detail about what you can do with Somerset and not. Apart from what I already said earlier, it's an amazingly beautiful zone. The storyline with the Psychic skill line is really nice, and there are many awesome mechanics and animations along the quest. And on top of that, Somerset also introduced jewelry crafting. And those are just the expansions. Apart from that, we also got the DLC that has been added. So in the right order, first of all, we had the Imperial City added to the game on the June 4th, 2050. Basically, this is a PvP and PvE zone. There are NPCs which you can kill, however, there are also other PvP players which are walking around there and can kill you and can take your Telvar Stones. Telvar Stones are a unique currency dropped by the NPCs that are found in Imperial City. Now, on the 5th of January 2019, during the Season of the Dragon, it was announced that the Imperial City will become its own separate campaign and will not be a part anymore from the Wall of Cyrodiil campaign. After that, at the E3 showcase, we got the first sights of Orsinium, the new zone of Wrothgar, and the Orc capital. The DLC was released on November 2050 and introduces a solo challenge known as the Maelstrom Arena. The questline involves assisting the Orcish king Gurok with rebuilding the city of Orsinium. After Orsinium, we got the Thieves Guild, which we already covered. The Thieves Guild, of course, brought the Thieves Guild itself, Hugh's Bane, a new zone, and the ability to pickpocket NPCs, lockpick yourself into houses, and steal any other items across Tamriel. After the Thieves Guild, of course, people want to get the next step, and ZeniMax released the Dark Brotherhood. Now, we already covered the Dark Brotherhood. It used the ability to kill NPCs and also to be able to assassinate them with the Blade of Woe, because the guards are too distracted by admiring the amazing architecture that Stormhaven has to offer. After that, we got Shadow of the Hist, an Argonian themed DLC that also introduced 2 new dungeons, the Cradle of Shadows and Ruins of Mazatun. After Shadow of the Hist, Horns of the Reach. The DLC includes 2 new dungeons, Bloodshot Forge and Falkreath Hold, and was released on the 14th of August 2017. After Horns of the Reach, a major DLC, Clockwork City. Clockwork City not only adds a whole new DLC zone to the game, but it also introduces to the Transmute Station, which allows you to regenerate your weapons or gear with Transmute Stones if you have those traits researched. And the next in line was the Dragon Bones DLC with 2 new dungeons, the Fang Lair and Skill Color Peak. And it also added the Dragon Bones sets to the game. After the Dragon Bones, we got the Wolf Hunter DLC. It includes 2 dungeons, Moon Hunter Keep and March of the Sacrifices, both centered around werewolves. And last but not least, Murkmire. Murkmire is the latest DLC that was released in late of October 2018, and you explore previously unexplored regions of Black Marsh. Now, the reason why I'm telling all these DLCs is to see and show to you, even if you're not familiar with the game, that's a lot of content that has been added to the game. And then we are not even covering all the updates, we are only covering the DLCs and the expansions. There have been many zones added to the game for you to explore, and many updates that have improved the game in a better way. One of these updates is one Tamriel. Now I mentioned one Tamriel earlier on in the video, but what one Tamriel basically did is removing the barrier between the factions. Before you couldn't play with other faction members at all. Now it only matters if you want to get yourself into Cyrodiil or the Imperial City. Any of these two PvP zones. If you want to do Battlegrounds, you can do that with other faction members. If you want to do PvE content, you can do that with other faction members. So it's really nice. If you're just a PvE player who wants to quest with his friend but both chose another faction, no worries at all. One Tamriel also added level scaling. So before ESO was pretty traditional like other MMOs, you had a starting zone, level 1 to 10 pretty much, and you had the second zone, level 10 to 20. Now with one Tamriel, all the NPCs would scale to you, so you can pretty much go to any zone wherever you want. Do you want to start out with Somerset, the new expansion? Go to Somerset. Do you want to start in the middle of Glenumbra? You can go to Glenumbra. You really can go to any zone and do the quest there, because the NPCs will adjust to you and to your level. So no more limited in where to go and what to do, because you can do anything at any level. They also removed the veteran ranks. Now this has been done a really long time ago, but veteran ranks were basically a system that was in place before the champion points. Now the champion points are basically a level that you hit after reaching level 50. The champion points are also account wide, meaning if you are on a character like champion points 200 and your other character hit level 50, he will automatically become the champion points level that is on your account, aka champion point 200. Now this is really nice because it's much easier to level a new character and to get a new character going, whereas before it was a really long and tedious grind to hit veteran rank 12, 14 or even 16. Now once you hit endgame level, of course you are wondering what is there to do once you hit the end game level to this game. And there is a lot to do to this game. ESO started kind of out as a PvE, PvP MMO, but now it's definitely more of a PvE oriented MMO than a PvP MMO, as all the DLCs and expansions have been mostly focusing around PvE content rather than PvP. The only PvP content that we really got was the Imperial City, which was released in the beginning of the game, and the next PvP content we got with Varnefell, where the battlegrounds. There is a solo arena that you can do, this Maelstrom arena, which you already covered earlier on in the game. There is the veteran Dragonstar arena, which is a 4-man arena. Then you have the trials, which are 12-man dungeon groups, and so much more. There are just way too many dungeons and trials to name them all for you. Then on top you have the 4-man dungeons that you can do with the daily quests from the Undaunted quest line and the Undaunted guilds. Now you can also just choose to enjoy the game and enjoy the environment. There are actually quite a lot of people who are doing this. They just go around, get themselves into the lore, into the questing of the game, and really enjoy themselves. Especially a lot of people who actually come from Skyrim and other RPGs who never really got into the whole MMO aspect are really enjoying this game. So this also goes out for the people out there who are wondering if this game is worth something picking up, who are just like RPG players like Skyrim, Oblivion and other RPGs, but who never really got into an MMO. There are a lot of people whose first MMO is Elder Scrolls Online, and they are absolutely loving it. It's not necessarily that you need to do these activities. You don't necessarily need to do PvP. If you just want to stay around in your own like PvE questing bubble, then you can just do that. You don't need any other players really to do the questing and just enjoy the zones and the environment. ESO also has one of the best, if not the best, voice-over dialogues of any MMO out there currently.
All right. Someone who uses dark nature magic is planning to assassinate King Casimir. But who's behind this? I need to know more. Just don't try to play me for a fool. But with Roy dead,
apart from that, developers really spend time in the characters, like you really get to know them and you really actually start to bond with most of the characters, and some of the dialogues really can be hilarious.
Another breach by the sea. Shep's seen better days, eh? Like I always say, the only thing you should make out of wood is nothing. Wood is ridiculous.
It's not always the same old. It's really worth going through the dialogues and the questing and just see what's going on there. Even me, as someone who doesn't care about it too much, but is more about like, let's get in PvP ASAP and let's go kill some stuff, I actually really did enjoy it. Another thing they added is player housing. And while I was first a little bit reluctant to it, I didn't really check it out. I just walked through a house and then I was done with it. I actually really like this feature. And once you get used to it and once you actually start doing it, most people really love it. It really adds a very nice mechanic to the game to decorate your own house or even your guild hall. I myself was someone who could spend hours and hours in Halo Reach Forge, if you know what that is. And ESO is kinda similar in certain ways to Halo's Forge. There is the way to place options, you can rotate it, items, building, furniture, everything pretty much. And the great part is that you can craft the items yourself as well. Now it's buyable both with the crowns or with in-game gold. So all things are earnable just by playing the game. You don't have to spend in real life money on the game at all. And the beautiful thing is, there really is no limitation, well, apart from the item limit cap that you will have on each house. But apart from that, you can really create something unique. You can make like a Daedra torture hall, you can make an underground dueling arena in a cavern if you want to do that. Or anything else really. The only limitation is your imagination. And housing / guild halls are actually really useful. For example, you can place your crafting stations, transmute stations and Mundus boons in a guild hall / home as well. So if you have to craft something, you can just travel to your own house and make those items there. You can also place unique crafting sets so that you don't have to travel to a certain area to craft those item sets. And again, you can also place the Mundus stones so you can have all the Mundus nicely organized at one spot, making a guild hall very useful for newcomers to the game and experienced players because you just have everything at one organized spot, which is really nice. The game is very much alive, unlike some of the other comments on the internet will suggest that the game is a dead game. If you go in any major town or just a small town or anything, you will always see people around running, questing and playing. And those are overall the lower level players. If you go to a major town with the Undaunted, you always see a bunch of people there delivering their quests or dueling or anything like that. And then we have to keep in mind that there are different instances in this game. That's the reason why you sometimes have to travel to a player to be able to actually see your friend, even though you're at the same place at the same server. Now, are there no issues with this game? No, definitely not. There are definitely issues and bugs still to this date with this game that can be very annoying and very frustrating. Number one of them being the random group finder. The random group finder for either dungeons or battlegrounds is not working properly in many cases, and they are still updating it till this day, and it's still very frustrating. For example, when you group queue with a mate or anything like that, it can sometimes happen that you get in, but your team member does not get into the battleground. You're not in this battleground? Oh my god, man. Really, dudes? Wow, that sucks. I mean, you can leave the group and just solo queue, man. Wow. Or something else that happens quite frequently is that the game messes up in some way. Like, you get ported into the battleground finally, and then you get ported out, and you get the deserter penalty because you left the battleground. Now, battleground bans are only character bound, not account wide, so you can just relog and do a battleground on another character, and it's only for 50 minutes, but it can still be quite annoying if you get it for reasons that are not even your own fault. Now, it's interesting to note that this is supposedly and seems to be mainly an European server problem, as people on the NA servers do not run into all of these issues. So it's European servers related, which kind of makes you think what is going on really. I really hope they will fix this soon because it has been an issue that has been going on for quite a while now. The problem I'm, for example, am now facing as a PvP player is really that I'm stuck in a certain circle that really is frustrating. I start overall the day and stream with going into a battleground, but the queues aren't working. So after a while, like trying the battleground queues for an hour or so, I might get into one, maybe if I'm lucky 2 battlegrounds. I decide for myself I go into Cyrodiil. But in Cyrodiil you have several campaigns. Either your campaign is going to be quite dead, there isn't a lot of activity going on, or the campaign is active, but activity also means many players, which the server can't handle. So either I'm going to start in the low populated campaign, because I'm like, okay, well, let's see if I can find any people. I can't find anyone to play with or fight against. So I go to the populated campaign, which is laggy as hell. I get frustrated. I think, okay, let's go to the battlegrounds, and the battlegrounds don't work. And I start from the start again. I try to go into a low populated campaign. And that's pretty much how I spend my days now trying to do PvP. PvP. Now, one of the things they said during the ESO Live is that they will be really focusing this year on performance issues. Now, they have typed it a few times in like patch notes and stuff like that, but they never really said it during an ESO Live stream in front of like thousands and thousands of viewers.
And this year we're focused on really two major initiatives. One is on fixture loading and how we load fixtures, how quickly we load fixtures. And the other is how we update the character. You know, the character is huge. There's all kinds of things. There's different gear and whatnot, and we have to load all of that into memory and make sure that it all works and runs properly. So those are the two big ones we're working on. Like I said, it's not an easy problem. It's going to take some time to work on, but
and
our
that's
goal,
game-wide, not
our
just,
goal is to, you know, fix that stuff and improve it significantly over the course of the year.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, and that's not just Cyrodiil. It's game-wide.
Everywhere, game-wide.
And
you know, that's
anything. Yep.
Yeah, that's the big point.
So this gives me a little bit of hope, and I'm very curious to see as what will happen regarding those performance issues and if they will be able to fix it. Because honestly, I love the PvP in this game. It's really amazing, it's a lot of fun, but just like, what does good content matter if the game is unplayable or very laggy? That being said, these are the main issues that the game currently has. The performance issues in Cyrodiil, and that the group finder and dungeon finder sometimes really messes up and doesn't work. If they can manage to fix that this year with elsewhere, that would be great. Apart from that, there aren't a lot of issues or any bugs that you will run into the game. So now and then there's a small glitch or anything might happen, but nothing permanently that sticks around. Apart from that, my end verdict is that The Elder Scrolls Online, in my opinion, is definitely worth getting and worth playing. The sheer amount of content you are getting just with the base game. You don't need to buy the expansions or DLC. You can easily buy the base game and enjoy yourself in this world. There is so much content that you get with the base game alone. And the game itself has come such a far way. The developers are really starting to listen to the community and they are really improving the game, and the game really has improved and evolved over the course of years. I really think The Elder Scrolls Online is one of the MMOs, one of the few MMOs out there which actually has evolved over the course of several years. Whereas other MMOs are actually getting more empty, The Elder Scrolls Online definitely grew in population and quality content. During sales you can find the base game for like $8. You can find a Morrowind Collector's Edition for like $15. The game is very cheap price at the moment. And again, with just the base game or a Collector's Edition, you have plenty of content to get to know The Elder Scrolls Online and see if it's a game worth it for you or not. Small tip, if you are now considering to buy the game, do not get it on Steam, as Steam is known to have login issues. Some people have it on Steam and say they don't really mind it. Some people are saying they really regret getting it on Steam, so I just want to throw that out there. If you want to get into The Elder Scrolls Online and you want to get started, feel free to check out my website learneso.net, filled with guides, tutorials, tips and more. Especially this guide is very recommendable for beginners and newcomers to the game, as it will cover everything you pretty much need to know that is important just in the beginning of the game, and we quickly run over it. You could just watch the video or go over the text of it. And of course, join our Discord as well. We have an awesome, very friendly and helpful community in our Discord. We also run several guilds on NA and Europe that you can join, so we can get you started in the game with some training gear crafted especially for you to get you on the way on your adventures in Tamriel. And we are also live on twitch.tv/Rubensky. If you liked the video and want to see more in the future, please make sure to like and subscribe. Apart from that, I will do my best to read all the comments and react back to you. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you will have a blast in this game. And see you all in Tamriel. I'm out. Have a great day.